Hi guys, it is Dom here from SoundsFit. Just had the wonderful opportunity to chat to Moshe Reuven about his music, bringing people together through his message and ideas, his entrepreneurship, creativity, and some much deeper personal stuff as well. So I hope you enjoy this. I'm really, really proud of this one. I'm glad we could do it. There's a lot of stuff in here. So thank you so much for enjoying it and joining us on this journey. Much appreciated. Catch you soon. Fantastic. It is a pleasure to sit with you. Thank you so much for making the time. I know you're in the middle of a very busy media day, lots of attention from everyone. So thank you so much for sitting down. How has your time in the UK been? Media day aside, are you having a good time?
Yeah, no, I'm loving it. The UK is awesome. It's real breath of fresh air to be here, and
Mm.
I really love I really love London. I love being here. I think you guys have a really cool country over here.
Yeah, we are very lucky. The weather is I know you're Florida, aren't you? From Florida originally. So the weather has a little bit to be desired over here sometimes. It can be quite miserable, but yeah, it definitely has its perks. I wanted to ask you, obviously, it's well documented you are a person of many talents, an entrepreneur, musician, and lots of fingers in pies, as we say over here. So how do you manage your time, Moshe, in terms of getting everything done? Creating hip hop tunes, which is obviously millions of streams now, to your entrepreneurial efforts, and obviously, ordained rabbi as well. You've got a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah, I think for one, God's blessing, that's one thing. You need God's blessing in everything. You can try your hardest if you don't have God's blessing, it just nothing works. And then, the way I set my day up for, my general religious practices, that's kind of determines a certain structure every day. And then, for one, there's definitely times where certain things are higher priority. Delegating is one thing that I've learned that you have to do, and sometimes that means you have to give up certain things in order to be able to delegate. But that's, the name of being able to do other things. And then, just taking things, being very present, like taking things as they are supposed to be, and the way they come, and realizing what's priority at different times, and making good decisions. And you do your best. It's not always easy to do multiple things. It's probably not always recommended either, but I'm grateful for it, and I definitely think that it's part of my path, and you know, it's shown to be true. So I
Yeah.
think it's just a matter of balancing it all, structure, and having your blocks of time.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of, your path, you've talked in previous interviews about kind of peace and understanding and obviously wanting that to be a part of who you are. What does that look like in the world for you now? Obviously, you've released Red and Yellow as a single, obviously in a very difficult time in our world and, across the board. So what does peace and understanding in the world look like for you right now? I understand it's a very challenging time, of course, for a lot of people, but for you personally, Moshe, what does peace and understanding look like for you at this moment?
Well, it's definitely with where I'm at with the things I'm doing and what I need to do. I'm very driven, and I want things to go faster than they do. But God made the world that things are a process, and nothing, well, not nothing good happens overnight, but most things that are good take time. And
Mm.
peace with my journey, peace with the different things that I've had to experience throughout my life to get to me to where I am today. And being just grateful, trusting God, and keep moving in the right direction, keep doing the right things, and things will keep going.
On that note of, in terms of your mission and what you talked about before of bringing people together, obviously, when you released You Are Not Alone, a few years back now, it was a very different time in the world as well. And it was that, as far as I understand, that song was about bringing people together, making sure people don't feel alone. And I think that is particularly prevalent now. in various communities. How do you look back, Moshe, at the success that you achieved with that track, and obviously the success you're still achieving with that in terms of streams, in terms of worldwide notoriety, and of course its application today, and obviously the issues that you're talking about, making people feel wherever they are, whatever they're going through, that they are not alone. How do you feel about that track now, a few years down the line?
I mean, I think that definitely it was a huge blessing that my first song did what it did. Um, and it was, I made that song with people in mind, that like that they should have a feeling of that God's with them in life, that people go through different things and we don't always know why. And to know that whatever you're struggling with, that God's with you and that there's a plan so it's comforting. It reassures the person that it brings meaning to their pain. When there's meaning to their pain, that's more possible for them to endure it and make it through and do what they have to do. And it came out in the middle of COVID, and I made the song before COVID. But it came out in the middle of COVID, and that a lot of people were telling me that it brought them so much. They would use it as like a meditation to help them to feel that God's with them, that to help them feel that they're not alone in their struggles, and wherever they were. A lot of people dealing with loneliness during those times. A lot of people dealing with depression and weird thoughts about life because you're staying inside all the time. And yeah, it was. I'm very grateful that I was able to bring comfort to people in the world through the song, especially my first song, and that enough people heard it that it did some impactful things. So
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece of work, and I'm sure bringing comfort to many people, right now in this moment as well. A few more questions now, then, Moshe. In terms of, I remember watching an interview with you where you talked about your soul's mission, and obviously we've touched a little bit on mission here today. And improving the world around you. Now, you talk very confidently today about that and about how you want to try and support people as best you can. But how has your mission statement, how has your soul's mission changed and developed since the very beginning of your career? Because obviously, again, it's documented you have changed ever since your younger days as well, and that's what's put you on this journey. So, how would you say your mission statement and the way that you feel about yourself has changed and developed over time and through your career as a creative person, as an entrepreneur, and everything else?
So my mission statement, I mean, I say that I keep the same mission statement throughout everything. Like I believe that ultimately there's this one mission that I'm here for as a person and as a Jewish person. But I mean, I think as far as like way that it translates is that there's different times I call for different measures, and what's going on in Israel and across the world, it is inspiring me to make sure that I'm coming out with a certain type of music that speaks to the what's going on right now. Um, I think also once you feel like you one some I remember when I came home from creating You're Not Alone, and it just felt like a certain part of me was a bit more whole. It was weird. And it's like when you touch on certain topic, obviously you could keep touching on it in different ways, but it feels like that certain refinement, that certain beer of like the that I'm supposed to do with my music to accomplish that
Mm.
it's there, it's out there, so people could connect to that. And I could talk about something unique and applies to something else that might be of importance to people as of a different topic, a different nature.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that my whole purpose stays in like I'm supposed to, in my existence in the world, help make the world a heavenly place,
Yeah.
and that I'm supposed to use my talents that God gifted me with to do that, and my opportunities and the people I meet, such as you, to help bring that reality into existence. And as far as how it changes, I mean, it stays the same. It just morphs into different ways and different ways that that expresses itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well on with that mission, Moshe. I think it's fantastic what you're doing. I really wanted to ask you, as we sort of round up the last few questions, you sort of, quite disciplined these days in terms of what you do, which is it enables you to get things done again across the board, music, entrepreneurship. But you mentioned in your younger years you weren't always that disciplined, and you kind of found that purpose. One of the things I do is I work with young people with disabilities. I have cerebral palsy myself, who kind of are struggling for that hope. They maybe use addiction to cope with if they're going through certain amounts of pain. And I wonder, could you talk me through, those younger days where you were maybe struggling to find your identity, find that discipline, and how did you find that? How did you overcome those struggles? And obviously, how has that helped you, find your success now? That going from struggles that you've faced, which I know you have documented previously, to getting to where you are now. What were the challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Well, I think one is recognizing that we're all people, and you know, we can't always be perfect. Because sometimes the biggest thing that gets in the way, discipline for me and many others is we beat ourselves up when we're not, and that makes it harder. In Judaism, we call it the Yetzer Hara, an evil inclination. It tries to, we all have a makeup, and part of our makeup is to, we have to fight internally that we don't beat ourselves up and we don't ruin our own chances.
Yeah.
So I think that's one aspect is overcoming that inner problem,
Mm.
and also knowing that and being kinder to yourself about when you don't follow suit. But what I try to do is you have a goal and you try to make the goal happen the best you can. And you learn from how that goes and you try to apply it again. And if you ever forget that you have a goal, then you try to remind yourself, I have a goal and I have to make sure I try this again today.
Yeah.
And each day, hopefully we get better and better at doing it, and if you ever fall off the wagon, you don't beat yourself up, just get back on and keep
Yeah.
going.
Keep going. Absolutely. And finding
Struggle,
it.
struggle, it's just to end off, sorry,
Yeah,
it's a struggle that never stops for anyone, so you
yeah,
have
of
to keep
course.
struggling.
Yeah, I keep struggling. Absolutely. And in terms of, like I say, last couple now, in terms of the success you've achieved through struggle, I like to ask this question to musicians and artists and creatives, because everybody has different definitions of this term. So, what does success look like for you, Moshe, in terms of, you have millions of streams, you have the discipline that has enabled you to become a very successful entrepreneur. So what does success look like to you as a person and as an artist, and are they the same thing?
Uh, you know, I think it's mainly like the impact you have on people, and also the impact you have on yourself, those two, and your family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So like starting from yourself and your family, like it's like, am I becoming a better person? Am I growing spiritually? Am I improving myself? And instead of, you know, you could get muddier in the world instead of getting better. So I think for success for me, it's like how I'm growing personally with my relationship with God, and while doing all these things, which in my eyes is part of it, to mesh it so that it's not a contradiction, but it grows together in a good way. Then the other thing with my family is that I'm having the right impact on my family. I'm leading my family in the right direction. And, you could even say your community next, the people that are around you that you have to associate with daily. But, when it comes to the music, and all those other things, that's like the more that I could impact people in a positive way, the better. The more that I could know that I put out the right things, whether it got everywhere it needed to or did everything it had to or not. I need to do my part and succeed in putting those things together and making sure it's there
Mm.
and making
Yeah.
sure I brought those things to life. And it's the results are up to God. You just you do your best and leave God to the results.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think you're doing a great job. Like I've said, thank you so much for making the time for me today. As we finish up, then this is where we sort of check if I've done my job properly. You're in the UK. I'm sure there's a message for UK fans and fans around the world. But is there anything I've missed, Moshe, that you want to plug and promote before we finish up today?
Check out Red and Yellow if you haven't already. Follow me at Moshe Reuven on Instagram. Follow me on Spotify, and just, you know, I just stay tuned, stay connected with me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when will you be back in the UK?
That's a good question. We've been talking about it. I mean, there's a few places that I still didn't get to go to this time. That because of short notice, it was just like to put together a concert would be you don't want to put together in a few days or a week. And so um basically I think hopefully this year, like a few months, hopefully. I mean, I got, God willing. I mean, I'm not a prophet yet, so
Absolutely. Well, fingers crossed. I'm sure lots of people, will support you and continue to support you, whether that's online or coming to those shows. So thank you so much for your time today, Moshe. I really, really appreciate it.
thanks. It was great speaking with you.